You're listening to Turi Writers' She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. In this installment, you remember the old days when you lived in fear of replying to all? Well, there are other people you may be replying to without knowing it right now. Also, your weighted blanket may have an unanticipated side effect. I cannot listen to anybody's news, not either political parties, not anybody's news for more than 5 minutes, because one side is jumping up and down going, "We're going to Disneyland," and the other side is going, "We're all
doing
dead.
nothing.
We're all dead. We're all dead, dead, dead." And I can't take either side. I just cannot. And so, but I make myself, because I have to be on the air and I have to know what people are thinking, and I have friends all over the political spectrum, so I have to force myself. It's like making myself eat the worst canned vegetable you've ever had to eat in your life.
See, you force yourself, whereas I need like a newsaholic addiction meeting. Not NA for like Narcotics Anonymous, but more like
IAA, Information Addicts Anonymous.
I mean, I sit there. It drives Frankie nuts, but I will sit and scroll through all my million different news subscriptions at night.
Yeah.
On my iPad while we're watching TV, and I'm like, and then not only can he not hear the TV, he's like, "Will you stop reading that?
Will you stop breathing?
Like,
stop breathing. Stop inhaling."
I have to know. I have to know. And then I don't want to know, but I have to know. It's like finding your kid's journal, and on every page it says, "I hate my mom." You know?
Did you ever find your kid's journal?
No, but that's how I imagine it would be compared to reading today's news.
Yeah, probably. If I found some notes in a notebook of my kids, I hate my mom. But it wasn't really a journal. It was just a venting of spleen.
Yeah.
What I found, now you're taking me way back to when the little one was in high school, the small cutie. And we got a call from school and we had to toss his room. I think you know what I'm talking about here.
Yes.
And I think any parent has gotten a call from school and then you toss the room. And I'd never, ever, ever gone through the small cutie's room before because I'd never had any reason. Because all that crap they tell you about things to watch for when your kid is going, what they call in Orthodox Judaism, off the path. When you have a kid who is raised Orthodox and all of a sudden they start, eating cheeseburgers, you say that they are off the path. They give you this list of signs when your kid is off the path. And none of those signs applied to my kid. Like the kid's doing great with grades, the kid's doing great in all these extracurriculars, and all of a sudden we get the call from school and I have to run up there and toss the bedroom. And I wish it had been a journal. I mean, I wish, because I could have started a small concession with the crap I found in there that shouldn't have been in there. And I piled it all up on the dining room table. And when the kid hit the front door, I said, "This better be all of it. And if it's not, you better bring the rest down right now because it's only going to get worse." And it did get worse. And I wish that there had been a journal that I could have just confiscated that said, "I hate my mom."
Nice.
But no, I had to do all the heavy lifting myself.
My mom told me as a very young child, I can't remember how old I was, but this is always stuck in my brain. She said, "Never write something down that you don't want someone to read." Yeah, I didn't write anything down. But now they put everything on the internet, like way too much information on Facebook or whatever they use. I have one child who finally switched over to something else because I'm like, "Quit posting this stuff. You're going to be like 50 and it'll still be in some cloud somewhere."
Well, this is interesting because there was one of those social media services that marketed itself as disappearing in a certain amount of time, right?
Yes, that's the one.
But it
that she
doesn't.
uses.
It does not disappear in a certain
No,
amount of time. And I'll tell you what really doesn't disappear is if your friends take it and they save it and they can just put it up there any old time they want.
exactly.
So
Exactly. But
it's
yes, I never kept a journal or a diary because my mom told me that, and she was right. When I worked for United Press International way back when it was still a international newswire service, we had an internal communication system that you had to be very careful with because this was the early 80s. Okay. This is when computers were just starting to be, I think we used like these little Radio Shack. We called them Trash 80s.
yeah, you got one line of copy at
Yes.
a time and it was the size of an old typewriter.
And this very famous journalist wrote a personal letter to someone about how she hated everybody in her newsroom, named them by names,
Ooh.
why she hated them. I mean,
Ooh.
it was friggin' hilarious. And yeah, she got fired like right away because it went out not to the inner circle. She accidentally filed it all the
Oh,
way through the
oh
clients,
my gosh. So as a news story,
teletypes.
so like
Yeah.
a little radio station in Dubuque would get this list?
Yep.
Oh boy.
They got this nasty letter. I think my biggest fear was always that if I was sending something to one person, I would accidentally send it to everybody,
Yep.
or I would accidentally just put it out there like that, like this famous newswoman did.
You were wise to be scared, and perhaps you would have been well served to have simply posted the story and her letter every year as a reminder and a warning. This is why
Yep.
we are careful what we write and post. I would have printed out the list of every single client that got that just to make the point.
Well, it went out nationwide. Actually, it went out worldwide.
And how many subscribers did UPI have at
Oh,
that time who read this list?
I don't remember. It was a lot. It
Thousands.
was a whole lot. I mean, we were number 2 to AP, but we had a lot of clients.
I thank God every day for the AP. They're all I have left.
They're not allowed in the White House conference rooms anymore.
Well, maybe that will change. We can, I'll add them to my prayers, as they say, my thoughts and prayers.
They refused to.
They refuse to
refused
rename the
refer
Gulf of
Gulf-
Mexico.
Yes, right.
Every day I'm getting a new crazy name for what we still in our family call the Gulf of Mexico for completely non-political reasons.
I got one from Michigan. It was the Gulf of Fago. They renamed Lake Michigan.
That's the soda pop from Michigan.
Yes, the pop from Michigan. But yes, there are a lot of funny memes out there.
Yes.
But the Mexican president is not so amused.
So, yes, the things you should not say. I have several friends who work for the government of various political stripes, I might add. These government workers are communicating now as though they were drug dealers. I've got a phone I use for work, and then I have a burner phone to talk to people outside of work.
Well, we know that they're in our business.
Yeah.
They're in our business, Terry.
Yeah.
They're listening to us right now.
I hope
probably-
that would increase the size of our podcast. Please.
I know.
Please
And
listen.
I hope they're laughing. But I can't stop reading about them. I just can't.
There must be some substitute. You know how when you have back, I hate to say this, but I'm back to child rearing again, because when you have a baby, if you want to take the toy away from the baby, what you do is you don't just take the toy away from the baby, is
No.
you make a substitution.
Okay, porn.
No! So this is what you're suggesting if we want to take away your compulsive information scrolling, that we give you a nice account on OnlyFans or something? Do you want to post it, or do you want to read it or watch it?
Just read it.
Okay.
I think I would be too embarrassed to watch it, and I would never post it. Are you kidding?
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
There's all kinds of porn. I mean, you can give them wet t-shirt porn. I already know you've done the wet t-shirt thing.
I do have I still have the T-shirt. It says Coral Gables 1971 on it.
They will love your coral and your gables.
Yeah. No, no.
No?
I get embarrassed pretty easy
That's
these
a hard
days.
no. That's a really hard no. I know.
It's a really hard no, but
You are
I
so
could
easy.
watch like
You are
animals do it or
so
something.
easy to embarrass. You are so easy to embarrass. I mean, if I even imply that you and your legally wedded spouse have private romantic moments, you fall apart. It's amazing.
I know.
I think, what do
I
they
know.
think? You have like some kind of like separate. What was that thing they used to do in the pioneer days when the cabin was cold and they had these chaste dates that were bundling where you'd both be in the bed bundled separately?
We don't do that.
No bundling at your house?
No separate bundling.
Okay.
Actually, I bought a weighted blanket so neither one of us can move. It's true.
I guess when they sell those weighted blankets, it's basically an admission that your entire sex life is years behind you.
No, not really.
Unless you
Now,
wish
see,
to be.
now I'm embarrassed. And my husband's going to be listening to this, and he's going to be slapping his head as he's driving on the highway, and the semis are close by,
I'm-
squealing all over.
Thinking about this, I've been staying, as you know, with my friend who had the loss, and she has a weighted blanket that her sister gave her, and she uses it for watching movies and television on the recliner. And basically, it's a form of bondage. You have that weighted blanket on you. You just can't move.
But it helps you sleep better.
Only if you would fancy having like a 200-pound dog lying on your back.
Well, if it falls down or when I change bed sheets or whatever,
Yeah.
I cannot move this blanket.
Yeah. It's like having a
It's
suitcase
heavy.
stacked on top of your body in its frilly negligee. So now you've made me
But-
think all these people buying weighted comforters have basically thrown in the unweighted towel, as it were.
No. It's just it's better than taking drugs to go to sleep. It like we're both like restless sleepers. We both are like he's stressed out about work and I'm just stressed out about whatever I make up in my head. So neither one of us are sleep all night people. And since we got this weighted blanket, it for some reason somehow it helps you.
You
to
can't
sleep.
move. Why don't you just tie yourself to the bedpost? It's the same. And here's the thing, since you mentioned,
No, you
it's like
can- you can move.
a drug to help you sleep. So now let's make the list. There are people taking drugs so that they can have romantic relations. There are people now taking drugs to make them sleep, but there's a weighted blanket to help you sleep. So think about
It's not that heavy.
It's
you can still
Okay.
move
Yeah,
underneath
fine.
the weighted blanket
fine.
to be able to have marital relations.
Do you remember when Pilates was a new thing
Yes.
and every little burg and hamlet did not have a Pilates studio?
We even have one up here now.
Yeah, with the big giant rubber ball or whatever the heck people
Yeah.
use for that. I can tell you what
Yes.
I would do with the Pilates ball, but I don't think that's intended as its purpose. So I'm thinking that there's going to be some new. I mean, basically, that's what a lot of these gym things are, in my opinion, is just new uses for things that used to be privately entertaining in a romantic, self-fulfilling kind of way. So
I couldn't tell
now,
you.
now-
I'm allergic to gyms.
now there's going to be a gym where you get to do something fun with your weighted blanket. That's my prediction. 5 years from now, there will be studios that claim to be for athletic purposes, but are really efforts to repurpose your weighted blanket. That's what I
Hey,
think.
we do things with our weighted blanket.
Well, I'm glad to
Why-
hear
We
that.
both have abs.
Oh, I thought you were.
Muscles. It builds muscles.
Thought you were finally admitting that you could do things with your weighted blanket. No,
under it.
under the weighted blanket. Okay, I'm all
We are
clear.
not talking about this. We are so not talking. I am like so embarrassed right now.
I love
can't
doing this
tell
to you. I love doing this to you. So much fun.
My kids cannot know that their parents have coitus.
You said that word? I didn't even know you knew that word.
Watch TV.
Okay, well, on that cheerful and very romantic note, I think I think that I have to turn my microphone off now and have a moment. Thanks for listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. We're glad you found us, and I hope you'll find my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's all true, but I've changed the names of the people and the radio stations and a bunch of other stuff because I'd prefer not to get sued. You can find it at your neighborhood independent bookstore or on Amazon.